this time, we'll call the Town of Magnolia Park fiscal year 2022 utility budget fund workshop into a session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alberry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
And Councilmember Smith.
Here. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to turn the floor over to Ken Metcalf, our attorney. All right. Oh, Town Manager.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, thank you again for your time this evening. I'm going to be fairly brief and then take on your questions. Just to give you a little bit of background with this, we had all intentions to present to you tonight with both the utility fund proposed budget and the general fund proposed budget. The general fund, in all honesty, still needs a little bit of work, and I felt a little bit shaky about putting that out today, so definitely with your approval, if we can come back next week in a workshop, I think we can have some things pretty final, at least from the staff end of things. On the utility budget tonight, there's a couple of things I need to point out to you, and I hope that you'll indulge me with some one-on-one time, either by phone or in person over the next week before we engage in another workshop. Some things need some explaining. I'm going to go into particular lines on the revenue side of page 1, line 8, under actual amount 2020-21. Under sewer, that dollar amount needs a good explanation to each of you, and also line 11 needs that explanation too. And obviously these are the capacity charges or capacity fees that came from Meritage. These have been sent in. I think the clerk was able to send out information to you when they came in. Has been positive, so we need to talk about what becomes of that amount of money. If we can do that on one-on-one, I appreciate it. Yes, Ms. Green.
You used the word I'm not familiar. What's a capacity charge?
Capacity charge, when you have a development, they're going to need extra capacity at the water plant and also for the sewerage.
Oh, okay.
They have to pay for that.
Okay, just want to be
That's
sure.
what this is.
Okay.
I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on that, but if we could defer to a one-on-one, that'd be even better. I can take some good time with you on that. But I will say, for this budget, for this fund, the utility fund, we do have it, as of right now, we have it balanced, depending on your input tonight. And we are moving rapidly toward our first budget hearing, which is in 3 weeks from tonight. So we do have an opportunity to, whatever's discussed tonight, finalize it over the next couple of weeks and be ready for our first budget hearing. The way that budget hearing works, I think most of you know, most of you have been doing this for quite a while. We present the budget in a budget hearing, 5:45, time certain on the 7th. Even after that hearing, you can approve it, changes can still be made, and then there will be a second hearing on the 21st, and at that time, we'll approve everything. We were talking about messages on the water bill in the previous meeting. I didn't speak up, but I should have. Our next water bill actually needs to give information about the public hearings coming up, and also about if council, unless council tells me differently tonight or next week, the rate increase, the 1% on water and sewer, on the base rate and on the usage side, and also the fire line side. So by law, we have to advertise that 30 days prior to that coming into effect. So that would be our September mailing. But just to clarify that. So, are there any questions? I will say that also on line 8 under the proposed budget, 2021, 22. That 691, that is a slight increase from the last time you saw it because I had failed to factor in the 16 new homes that are now on sewer. There's 16 homes that are
I see 22.
additionally on sewer. Yes, so that was,
Line
that, I think it was 9,000 that it
Yeah,
increased.
2021, 23.
8. Oh, no, the proposed budget year, 2021, line 8.
Just so you skipped 22.
Oh, no, he was proposed 2021, 2022 budget year. Here?
No, I was just bringing attention to what happened in 22.
Oh, I'm sorry, he was at 8. You want to, he'll finish up on 8, then we'll go to line 22.
There is no line 22 is what I was saying.
Okay, okay, okay.
Oh, I was trying to say it to him silently.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll make sure the spreadsheet corrects it. Okay.
That's typical of us, we're gonna have a number in trouble.
He wasn't supposed to tell me, that was between the two of us. Okay.
Hopefully I didn't delete a line item there, so we'll go back and double check everything. Any questions on the revenue part of things?
Yeah, if we can go back to line 17.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure we know what this is, but sometimes the memory fails us on the moment. We had budgeted for the fiscal year an amount, that 153,620, but the actual showing is 388. That's because, again,
Because when we budgeted this last year, we were anticipating that first payment coming in before the fiscal year ended, and it didn't. So we didn't get that amount. My apologies, we didn't get the first payment in before the fiscal year ended. We got both payments, both reimbursements from the county this fiscal year. So the 388 represents the total reimbursement for the sewer project on Jeffrey and Sherwood.
okay, all righty, just wanted to make sure I was clear on that. Okay, any other questions as it relates to the budget? Any clarifications needed?
I have an interest in these are the same figures we had in our previous handout and for line 11, 12, and 13 of the annual amount received. Actual amount,
Which line, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
11, on line 11, 12, and 13. Are those the same figures we had in the previous handout?
No, ma'am, 11 and 13, I'm sorry, 11 and
12, 8.
12, definitely not.
And the increased amounts.
Correct, those numbers on the, now, if you're talking about on the actual amount,
Yes, sir.
no, ma'am, those were not there previously.
So we had an increase in payments in those areas.
Those payments came in, and we wanted to go ahead and show that and strike up some additional conversations with you.
Other questions? Any other questions or comments? Any other clarification needed? Any other changes from the previous budget?
Yes, sir. On line 15, contingency for the proposed budget, that has gone up because if you'll look at line 30, under water department and the expenditure, what we're showing for right now this may change between tonight and next Tuesday, it may change between tonight and the first public hearing. We're showing the full payment for the water tower painting. You approved this last week. But we're showing that in next year's budget because Roosevelt's indicated that the scheduling of that could be as far out as January. Okay? Now, for tonight, we put it in next year's budget. It may turn out, the clerk was right to remind me today, they may be asking for down payment money, before the end of September. So we'll make those adjustments before the budget is finalized. But for tonight, we're showing it in next we've signed the agreement, it's been sent in, not positive of the terms is when they need it. They may just say, just pay us when we finish, or, you know, give us 25% when we get on site. If that's the case, that could be in next year. And that's why the contingency increased, and that's why line 30 now shows the 73. And that is for the item you approved last week. And that's 73, by the way, just an update. That's 73, council wanted us to pursue the extended warranty. Roosevelt did that immediately. We found out for exactly 10%. That's in essence going to cover us for about 9 years. They're going to come back at the 4 or 5 year period. We get the first year regardless. That's a done thing. By purchasing the extended at the 4 year mark, they're going to come back, touch up anything that, you know, maybe chipped or whatever, anything that needs to be touched up, and they do that again between the 8 and 9 year mark. So in essence, that's a 8 to 9 year warranty. And we did get that for council authorized an additional 10%, and it was exactly that. So that's the amount of 7,300 rounded up.
Thanks so much for the explanation. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, can anything else materially changed from the last presentation?
Based on our conversation, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this one-on-one and also in our next workshop, line 41, we're now saying, if you remember, we had a conversation at the last workshop about the potential of a trainee at the water plant. That money has been incorporated into line 41, which is at the very bottom of the page, so that number has increased. So basically what you would have there, instead of 2 part-time, you would have 3 part-time. You would have the 2 operators that you currently have, plus the 1 trainee.
Just a question on that one. Now, when we talked about a full-time position. Are we separating the salary? Or?
Separating the salary. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt.
Oh, no, I was done.
The thought right now, and we can talk more about this one-on-one, or I'll be better prepared next Tuesday to really go in depth, but the thought right now is half, it will be a full-time position, half of it at the water plant as a trainee, eventually becoming our water plant operator. Roosevelt indicates that's a 1 to 2 year process, but the other half of that would be code enforcement. That's the thought right now. So we would get a dual position, one, same person, half time at the water plant, half time in code enforcement. And so when you see your general fund next week, you'll see some of that money reflected in the general fund as well.
Okay.
Councilwoman Green and then Councilman Smith.
He would work the person would work part-time at the water plant and part-time in code enforcement?
That's going to be a proposal, yes, ma'am.
So when, during his training period, during his training, or her, are we training the person in working the water plant and code enforcement, or do they, is training the same?
Well, the training would be different, obviously, but yes, they potentially could both, in both roles could be a training.
It just seems such.
We might look out and find somebody.
Yeah, because when you say you're training someone from water, it's completely different from code enforcement. That's why it just struck me as saying, okay, all right,
Okay. Councilman Smith.
never mind.
All right, so since you bring it to our attention that there's a training in Roosevelt, that's such a good process to plan operation. That's the training side that duties and tasks and what they learn from running that facility. On the reporting side, can you be at liberty to be specific what they will be involved with? It's an administrative type position, and what would they be doing specifically? Or
Great question. You couldn't have set me up there. So, this position, if council agrees, on the code side, they would be doing code enforcement, going out, putting door hangers, doing the inspections and whatnot. They would also be doing the full extent of paperwork. So they'll have some administrative duties too, to include mailing out the notices and whatnot. Everything but setting the hearing, that would be the clerk.
So I'm assuming then and that sounds good, tastes good, and you kind of explained that.
Yeah, it probably won't be that simple.
If they're doing, would that take some of the, I don't know what the plan operations entail, but that's for to eat, and that's something, but we're talking the code enforcement side, administrative side. So they're going to be taking the administrative stuff, door hangers as you specified. Handling their code enforcement, I guess, hearings and citations, stuff like that. Would that take some of the duties off the staff that's doing it now then?
That's a good way to put it. That's the hope. That would be the expectation from the management, certainly.
And so they can focus on other things. They're not one of them, but if that's what you're proposing.
I think whoever's doing the code, they take it, they run with it, they do the administrative part of it too. Obviously, there's going to be things, the official record keeper is going to have to touch.
Right.
But, the legwork, that person is going to be doing.
And
I know that's idealistic, but, hopefully it comes about that way. They're going to need training in that. Hopefully, the programs that we set up, all the laptops and everything, will help with a lot of that. Hopefully some of that administrative will be taken care of by technology. Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully that's take paperwork and back up to the stratosphere. So that's a process when you're sending out, you're sending out citations or whatever. It's from different businesses, so that's it takes, it's a process, it takes time. So you won't get it right the first time. So.
Especially when you generate as much paperwork as that guy right there. So.
Forgot about that guy. I'm sorry to make you invisible, but that man working hard. My apologies.
My apologies. That just robbed me.
Okay. All right, Councilwoman Green.
I've said this once, discussed this one time. I think I mentioned it last year, and I'm bringing it up again. And this is to our town manager and my fellow council members. I want to see the day when we were talking, going back to code enforcement, training of code enforcement, and the man who's water plant. I'm glad and thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad to see that we are going to take advantage of our webpage, and that the reason I keep going back to it, I don't want to see us spending money for an adult that we are training to continue to pass out door hangers. If we're going to train someone, especially young men and young women who take care of their family, I don't want to train someone to hang door hangers. I want to train someone in code enforcement, which is code enforcement, or someone working at the water plant. Now, with us having a web page, okay, and now especially with what the idea, the suggestion the mayor just came up with, that's going to eliminate a lot of door hanging. And I'm proud to know that we are moving away from paying an adult to hang. You pay a 12-year-old or 13-year-old to hang door hangers. And I'm just saying that I don't want us to continue to pay an adult to train an adult to put door hangers. I want the training adult to be either code enforcement or to work at the water plant. And that money that you're paying, can you imagine how much money we are saving with paper? With the use of the web page, now that we have the those emails, that saves money, and that's just something that I'm glad to see us moving away from the door hangers and to our web page, and training code enforcement and someone's the water plant. I had to, Mr. Mr. Metcalf, thank you.
And to that point, and the clerk can jump in on this, in years past, and we may have gotten away from this a little bit, I don't want to speak, but when you say door hangers, that's where if the officer drives up to the property and he or she notices a violation, he can just write something out on a door hanger, put it there for them to call him or her. That's the door hanger.
No, sir, that's not the door hanger I was referring to.
Absolutely.
You know what door hangers I'm referring to. That's the way we've been communicating with residents in this town. When this poor lady over here, Miss Albury, and I know what it means to fill in a piece of paper when you don't have any information. Okay, and when she has to put information out to our residents, and she may want to talk about the virus, which is something that is very important. And she doesn't have time, and neither does she, to send out a piece of paper with just one thing on it that's as important as virus. But we were having young men doing that, putting information in a plastic bag, hanging on the door hang, and people throw it in the garbage. That stuff is being thrown away. When that throwing away of that paper and that plastic, we could be used that money to pay an extra $1 or $2 for someone to feed his family. So, I'm off the van, okay. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I'll digress from my point just based on the previous conversation. I'm looking at the actual amount in the budget for printing for 2021 was 0.
Line item?
Line what?
Line item 62.
62?
Office supplies, line item 63, is just $122. So
62.
we've been way below budget on those items in the past budget year. So I think we've done fine with that already. So my point that I wanted to bring out, I'm noticing on line 49, attorney fees, there's no amount listed for the
I don't know what she's
budget.
saying.
So what council decided a year ago was that for the attorney fees, we were going to go to a flat monthly rate. The attorney accepted that, and we're eliminating this line item. Some of this that you see charged of this year, some of that got charged because of the arbitration with Riviera Beach, which I'm finding out things like that are different than the flat rate. So we decided there is another line item for litigation attorney fees, line 52. And we did put 1,500 in that, just in case. But this line 49, we eliminated that. Based on that line item in the past was used for charges for utility work by the attorney. Now that is supposed to be covered by the flat rate. Which is 4,000.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? Okay, just while you're thinking, anything else, Ken, to bring our attention to?
I would just say on all of these line items, if you go through it, you're going to see where on some of them, on a few of them actually, we are over budget for the year. And you're also going to see where we bump those numbers up on quite a few of them, just because apparently we have been under budget. I say we, I'm talking about management. So this year we're trying to make sure that we don't have these negative marks like we've been having, or 114% spend. So we've bumped up individual line items hopefully to prevent that. Yes, ma'am?
And that regard, I do recall our last budget hearings, we workshops and so forth from last year. We did some extreme cutbacks because of the pandemic and the limited the funding that we were anticipated for the year. So I can understand we need to move it back into a higher tier now that we're both in full operation. You want to see that there?
Pandemic, and you may just have a chief manager, I'm not sure. Okay.
I do remember we did a lot of slicing last year, trying to make our budget balance because we anticipated a lower income. Now that we have other options, we can move it back to more feasible amounts.
Especially on these repair items, hopefully with some of this equipment that we're, bringing in, some of these repair items, hopefully will start to dwindle down a bit. But just in case, we don't want to leave the utility staff short on that, so we did bump that up a little bit.
I have a very curious question on line 65. I do have some plans for brand new uniforms, so probably going from $100 to $5,700.
The boots are quite expensive. It used to be, when I started out years ago, in a different town, we were allowed $50 a year for boots. And that steadily went up. I remember when I left.
Sneakers go.
In recent years, it's been 150 and still going up, and sometimes they might have to get a second pair. It's also, and Sherry, if you want to break it down a little bit better than I can, that's fine. But, there's a lot of shirts involved. They go through quite a bit of shirts with the work that they're doing. A couple of the guys, I think for Fred and Roosevelt, we get pants as well.
And Tavares.
And Tavares, that's right.
When they were here before, they were buying their own pants. They get 10 uniforms a year, 10 pairs of pants, 10 shirts. That usually is 5 and 5 at one time. You've got code enforcement under this column, you've got administration under this column, and when they were ordered at the same time, everything was just placed in utilities. With additional code enforcement officer, that's been placed under this column. Those are just corrections that we need to make, being without an accountant pay on. So we would have to add that up and put it under the general fund or whatever it was. But those guys were buying their own pants before, and now this past fiscal year, we were supposed to be buying them, and we did. So that's 30 pairs of pants added to, this section. They usually run about $40 to $50 a pair for the uniform dickies that they wear. So multiply that times 30 pairs, and then the shirts are more expensive than the pants. So we had part-timers that were wearing, we don't buy bottoms for part-timers, we only buy the shirts, but their shirts had holes in them, and it was just embarrassing. So that's why we line item increase in the utilities for the 2 drinking water operators and the full-timer that we had, plus the utility director.
So we really didn't do much at all in 2021 to cover those expenses, but we do need to make up for it.
Yes. Because they do get involved with, they clean them themselves as part of their regular laundry. We don't do that anymore. So that's why we said we really need to make sure that we cover their uniform. Okay, that's good.
Okay, Councilwoman Green and then Councilman Smith.
I hope this is still relevant to the budget, Mr. Metcalf, but the email that the delegation sent out today referenced that this was going to be the first in-person meeting, and that was something that they emphasized, that you wore your your paraphernalia, your shirts with the names would make it easier for them. Did you get that? I just want to let you know. Okay, just want to throw that out. You and I gonna wear our clothes. I don't have a shirt.
To that point, when we first hired Rob, and he was approaching people without any business cards or his shirt, people really question, who is this guy? So,
Mm-hmm.
you would agree that does help.
Okay. Okay. Councilman Smith?
Yes. I'm gonna kind of segue back, Vice Mayor, you kind of started something, so I'm gonna go back to what you started. And we talked about, or you talked about, the cutback that we made last year. There was a lot of cutbacks for various reasons. We're trying to keep the budget tight and, manageable. So, one thing that didn't stick out, and this is gonna be account 319, line item 53, that's right there. Since Vice Mayor kind of brought that up, I think that when you talk about the lobbyists, that was something that I think we kind of had a lot of conversation. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, we eliminated, I was talking about eliminating the uses of the lobbyists because of the costs and everything, Pittman and all that. So let's go there, and then from there, once we get some answers from there, they're going to be line item 23.
Which one?
Account 462, and line item 36, account 435, in that order. So let's go back to, let's start with, line 53, account 319. Start.
53?
Yes.
Okay.
53, account 319.
So the, Councilman Smith, the proposal would be that we call it suspended use last year, that we would re-engage with a lobbyist this year. We'll have to do an RFQ and all of that, but I felt like the fair way to do it this time, based on feedback from council, and if you remember in some of our earlier workshops, we heard from David, our water and sewer engineer, we talked about going after grants, and I just feel like that if we're going to use a lobbyist, we really need to hone down on really two areas.
Okay.
Utilities and economic development. Now, the economic development part, that's going to be in your general fund at an amount of $33,000. But we felt like some of the costs for the lobbyists should be absorbed in utilities. Now, it doesn't matter to me if council decides to put it all under the general fund or all under utilities, we can do that. But that's just that's just a abstract number, really. We could put half, we could put all, but that's the explanation on that.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions? Okay.
And let's go to line 23 and account 462. Yes, sir.
Repairs and maintenance?
Yes.
Right, this is one of those repair items. And sometimes in repair items, when the invoice comes in, there's, we have contracted services, and we have also repairs and maintenance. Sometimes we charge it to contracted services, but maybe we really should have charged it to repairs and maintenance. So, and especially, this year not having a bookkeeper for most of the fiscal year. Some of these things may be off a little bit, but that's just one of those repair items that I feel, at least my comfort level would be in bumping that up a little bit. And that's just an amount, that's just a hunch. But if you...
Well, if he will allow me, that's a hunch. I'm looking at this 21, 22, and I'm looking at the cost budget proposed what line item that you just gave us a snapshot of what it entailed, what it's doing, and what you felt the direction going in. But I have a question. My concern is with the meter install, remember, if y'all remember, we worked on getting meters, upgraded meters to read accurately, et cetera, and SCADA, or not necessarily SCADA, to read it from remotely and everything, and still to this day, it's mind-boggling. I got had a conversation today before I got ready for council. And it came from a resident, and I'm not a concerned resident. I'm still trying to wrap my head around on these meters, how they're installed, the amount of them being installed, and why are we using 3 residents in 1 meter box? And so, that may be a question for Roosevelt to answer. At 24 grand, I would think we would have more meters. And I'm not an expert. I just go based on the conversation I get from time to time. And I think that's legit. People want, I'm not saying to be accessible to the meter, but in their mindset, they thinking, and I've done repairs around my house where the meter had to be cut off. And you have to go in another resident yard to cut it off. Until I could get my shut-off valve on my residence. That's in Ms. White's yard. So at 24, and even for meter installed and whatever rate we got and how we installed them, I just think that shouldn't at some point residents have a meter for each resident. I don't know if that's profitable, but I'm getting that conversation, so I'll shut up on that.
With few exceptions, every resident has their own meter.
Okay.
Now, why they share boxes, if that is happening, I'm not sure. That was laid out long before this council
Yes.
came on board and long before this manager came, but, we did have a townwide meter replacement 2-3 years ago. Probably one of the best things we've ever done. And it cost a lot more than $24,000. It's more like $230,000 with the install. But what that does is it gives us accurate reading. It also provides a citizen can come in here and I think the meter was wrong. We can print out something for them and show them exactly where and when they're using the most water. It's been very helpful. If someone has a leak, it indicates that, gives us that alert. So as far as the meters go, that's great stuff.
But share, the key you said on is to share, and that's.
I think it has to do with the history on the 3 meters in that one box in Ms. White's backyard.
Yes, ma'am.
That I think it involves more than meter replacement. I think it involves the actual lines, if I'm not mistaken, for the
That's
history.
Correct.
That there's an expense for the lines. And the 24,000, you have to remember that those townhomes are coming on board. And this is projected for 21, 22. So the repairs and maintenance would have a lot to do with the additional accounts that are coming on board, as well as possibly Catalina Shores, Tiffany Lakes, that are interested in putting individual meters at each apartment. So that water line is separate from sewer lines, and which is separate from the utility department.
But that's an elephant in the room, and it keeps coming up. What it comes from me, because I've even had that conversation at some point. I don't know how cost effective it's going to be, but and you hit it on the head, the lines, And Roosevelt has said different conversations with lines. You have to run extra lines, but I don't know how we can make that cost effective. I just think that it's something to be talked about. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, council. I don't know.
We can bring Roosevelt in and we can dialogue on that. I don't think it's going to be cost effective. That's just.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
But I had to make mention of it, so I don't know what cost is cost.
Now, the 24,000, if I can just add, that is strictly for repair.
Okay.
Water line bust, if fix it. Someone knocks over a fire hydrant,
We fix it, repair it.
Just have one account so it comes on for that to happen.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Vice Mayor?
I
Okay,
would
well,
somewhat agree with Mr. Smith, Councilman Smith, about multiple lines in one box, some meters in one box. Only because I had the experience of the individuals across the fence behind me were doing some repairs on the weekend, and whoever they had cut the water, my line as well.
Yeah, and very good point.
And then we had to call in weekend on-call staff to come and
Fix it.
repair or reline or whatever to get my water back on. So that is a concern, I don't know how it can be properly managed, but it does happen, it can be an irritation.
Well, the bigger issue is that, not to be a tattletale, but if you know that your neighbor is doing a repair on the weekend, you need to find out if they have a permit. Because if a plumber is there, a licensed plumber knows that they have to pull a permit. We had situations before where people are getting repairs done and they're not getting permitted, and then there's no recourse for them. They're stuck with this unlicensed person possibly, and they're doing it illegally.
the cost of repair.
They need to pull a permit for the repair. It's very important.
and no
It's
one's
your
supposed to be in
protection.
that meter box except for, town staff.
And,
Yes.
and I don't want to be dishonest, but I do want to be dishonest this time because I had an emergency situation where the water had to be cut off and my shut-off valve, which is gate valves, they failed. So I had to basically change those gate valves out there, subject to my house as a backup. So really, I'm going to put emphasis in, we probably need to look at separate line that way when you have an emergency, you don't interfere or have to go 2-3 yards to shut off because the meters are shared in one box. I really truly think that we should run multiple lines if we could.
Well, the
Those
lines
lines
are
are,
separate. The lines
Yes,
are
sir.
separate.
yeah.
But again, I had to get permission for, I guess, the town got permission, not I. My house was leaking, I had a flood, and had to cut off. And get permission from his wife, and she has a gate, a padlock on the gate, so she was there, she was able to unlock it and allow, technicians to get in the yard to cut it off and make the repairs. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I got you.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
36, unless you have other questions.
All righty. Okay, and keep in mind too that the 24 is for purchase of parts as well. You know, you would have to have 1 or 2 meters around just in case somebody busts one and, you know, so, okay. All righty. Any other questions or comments on the budget?
Line 36.
Line 36 was a question as well. Okay, the pass-through, Ken?
The, actual amount for 2021, that includes the amount that the payments that you've given Riviera Beach this year,
Yes, sir.
and the column on, right next to that, that is the amount, once we did the budget amendment to cover those payments.
Mm-hmm.
And then the proposed is what we consider to be the normal payments. So that's why it goes down. We had unusual circumstances this year with sewage disposal payments or sewage payments.
Okay. Or there was
We don't
a,
anticipate you be paying that.
no, we're all clear. Okay. Any other line you had? Was it 36?
Those were
That was it? Okay.
jumping out at me.
Okay. Any other council with questions or comments? Okay. The only one I have, if there's no council comments or anything, no other comments? Okay. The only one that I had was 43, and this had to do with salaries. Line 43. This is right. Now, we were budgeting $1,200, which seems not to be enough to cover that item. It's there. Are we going down to 1 employee or?
typo.
Okay.
That's going to be considerably more.
Yeah, yes.
So that's, might even be 12,000 rather than 1,200. So we'll correct that.
Okay, all righty. Yeah, we don't want the feds coming at us for not sending enough money. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so typo, so we'll have that corrected at next budget. Okay, at the next presentation.
My mistake, correct.
Okay. Ready? Any other council comments or questions? Okay, all righty, we'll get to that. We'll finish up the budget. Okay, so any other budget questions or comments? Anything else, Ken?
No, sir, just, we appreciate one-on-one so we can go through some of this. a little bit.
Oh, certainly, and each council person will get with you and arrange that, okay, to kind of go through it one-on-one as well, okay? All righty, so if there's nothing else, then we'll, with council's indulgence, I think the council member had something outside of the
Nice,
budget.
simple. I'd just like to know why I am still getting Kelly. What's her name was in my seat? Why am I still getting her mail? Oh, why am I still getting,
Former council member Sonia Kelly.
Sonia Kelly's mail?
Yeah, they haven't changed their robo mailing system yet, so that happens.
Who
Yeah,
hasn't changed?
the sender,
If you'll leave it with us, we'll contact them.
yeah, so that's
They
the
put it
last
on
person
us.
they do.
That's why I asked that question. She said it was our fault.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, for years I was getting Gail English, and then I was getting somebody else for years. Then
You heard what I said? She
With the,
said,
with the hair? We had all his hair.
okay.
All righty, so any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Motion for adjournment
Second.
has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye. Aye. Full same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Okay. All righty? Next Tuesday. I'll be out of town, so I would, no, just kidding. Next Tuesday. All righty. Okay, have a great one.
Everybody drive carefully.